Another day, another story. Control Your Emotions, by Motivational Story. Once upon a time, there was a young boy named Jack. Jack was known for having a short temper and often found himself getting into trouble because of his explosive outbursts. One day, Jack's mother took him to meet a wise old sage who was said to be able to help people control their emotions. The sage greeted Jack and his mother warmly and invited them to sit down. Jack's mother explained that her son had a problem with anger and often found himself getting into trouble because of it. The sage listened intently and then spoke to Jack directly. "Jack," he said, "I understand that you struggle with your temper. But I want to tell you a story about a great warrior who learned to control his emotions." The sage then began to tell Jack and his mother the story of a warrior named Jiro. Jiro was known throughout the land as one of the greatest fighters of all time. But despite his many victories, Jiro was haunted by his own anger. He would often lose control during battles and lash out at his opponents, sometimes even injuring them severely. One day, Jiro decided that he needed to learn to control his emotions if he was ever going to truly be the greatest warrior of all time. He sought out a wise old monk who lived high in the mountains and asked for his help. The monk agreed to take Jiro on as his student and began to teach him the ways of meditation and self-control. At first, Jiro found the process frustrating and difficult. He wanted to lash out and fight back whenever he felt angry, but the monk urged him to remain calm and centered. Over time, Jiro learned to control his emotions and channel his anger into his fighting. He became even more powerful than before, but now he was in complete control of his abilities. When the sage finished the story, he turned to Jack and said, "Just like Jiro, you too can learn to control your emotions. It takes time and practice, but it is possible. You must learn to remain calm and centered, even in the face of anger and frustration." Jack took the sage's words to heart and began to practice meditation and other techniques for controlling his emotions. It wasn't easy, but over time he began to notice a difference. He was no longer getting into trouble as often, and he was able to handle difficult situations with much more grace and composure. Years went by, and Jack grew up to become a wise and respected leader in his community. He never forgot the lessons he had learned about controlling his emotions, and he passed them on to others who were struggling with similar issues. In the end, Jack realized that the greatest victory was not in defeating his opponents, but in mastering himself. And that, he knew, was a lesson that would stay with him for the rest of his life. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Storytime.